Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Mark Causey here from Black Cat Comics in Rockin' Milpitas. Every Wednesday is new comic day and I like to give you some great reasons to get down to your local comic shop and pick up something fun to read. This, like last week, is a very, very special once-in-a-lifetime week. Gonna shake it up a little bit, start with the indie guys, start with the image guys. This is Spawn number 300. Yes, I usually start with Marvel and DC. It's a Coke and Pepsi kind of world, but many years ago, Spawn number 1 pretty much changed the comics industry forever. And it's really great to see it make it all the way to number 300. It's been one of the best books in comics all this time. Can read more about this one in our newsletter. Really is a kind of historic event. Not too many indie books reach number 300. It's a really big deal. It's a really great book. All kinds of different covers from all the different all-time great artists that have done Spawn over the years. McFarlane, Capullo, Pena, etc., etc. Like I say, biggest book of the week, one of the biggest books of the year. Really great stuff. Make sure this one makes it into your stack this week. If you're not a Spawn fan, whatever you're a fan of, like I say, make sure this one makes it into your stack this week. Great stuff. And while on the subject of image, this is your last issue of Wicked and Divine. You know, back in 1992 when they launched Image Comics, what I meant by changing the world of comics, they made it so you could have books like this one, books like Die. Image publishes all kinds of things that the big two just don't do. And they give guys like Mark Millar the opportunity to make books like Space Bandits and all the other kind of odd and disturbing stuff that Mark Millar likes to do. And guys like Jason Aaron in Sea of Stars. I love me some Jason Aaron. You've been following his Thor stuff for years and years. Check out his independent stuff. Along with Battle Pug. That's your first issue. Gotta have it. Image book of the week. Image also created a venue for all kinds of different things. And like Red Hot Comics. Like an opportunity to check out all kinds of odd and different things. Like I say, that the big two just don't do. Image has an endless list of genres and art types and every other kind of thing you can imagine in comics. I say every week that everybody should have an Image book on their list. Go to the website, check out the New This Week section, look at all the different cool things they do. Check out some of those Image First $1 reprints, etc., etc., etc. Great week for the Image guys. It's a great week for all the independent guys too. This is Triage number 1. This is my Dark Horse book of the week for a couple of reasons. One, the guy gave me a call and said, hey, push my book. So, hey, I'm pushing his book. Plus, I love Dark Horse comics. I love sci-fi stuff. Again, Dark Horse does all kinds of things that the big two don't do. I'm always talking up their licensed property stuff. I'm always talking up the Mike Mignola stuff. But they do all kinds of other great books too, like this one, like Everything. Another first issue jump-in point for you. Or like Berserker Unbound from Jeff Lemire and Mike Deodato. Another couple all-time great creators. Another couple cool indie guys that you love their Marvel and DC stuff, so you should be checking out their indie stuff. And like I say, every week, all the other publishers do all kinds of great things, like Dynamite. This is Turok. One of my all-time favorite characters, one of my all-time favorite books. This goes all the way back to the 1950s, goes back to original Valiant in the 90s, now Dynamite's got it. What's cooler than fighting dinosaurs? Usagi Yojimbo, another one of the all-time great creator-owned books. Now it's over at IDW. This one probably honestly might have made it to 300 issues if it would have stayed at Fantagraphics. But it's jumped around to a few different publishers, but now Stan Sakai's found a new home at IDW. Again, one of the all-time great books. If you don't know much about Usagi Yojimbo, grab the reprint of the first issue, grab that first trade paperback of the original stuff. This book will change your life. Speaking of samurais, Samurai Jack. It's your other IDW book of the week. I take every opportunity to push some Samurai Jack comics because the comics are always just as awesome as the show is. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is your Boom Studios book. Getting back to the aforementioned licensed property stuff. A lot of licensed property stuff going on in comics these days, as there always has been. Joss Whedon's taken all of his stuff over to Boom Studios. Started the Buffy the Vampire Slayer stuff over all from scratch. So grab that first issue, catch up to this second arc. Good stuff. Archie is one of my favorite publishers these days. Actually, it's always been one of my favorite publishers. This is the new issue of the regular series, now titled Archie and Sabrina for a couple more issues. They're doing all kinds of stuff with their regular line, with the classic all ages line, with their horror line of stuff like Jughead the Hunger. Go to Archie Comics, check out all the different cool stuff that they're doing. Get an Archie book on your list because everything they do is awesome. Aftershock Comics is another independent publisher that we've been talking more and more about. This book, Animosity, this and Dark Ark were the two books that got them on my radar. Really dig Animosity. Again, kind of like a horror, sci-fi bend to it. Another kind of thing, Aftershock does all sorts of books that the big two generally don't do. If you're looking for something darker, something edgy, but something especially cool, pick up Animosity because that's awesome. And Fallen World, your Valiant book of the week, another one of the many, many great indie publishers that are out there these days. Always encouraging you guys to put a Valiant book on your list. Great, great stuff. Great stuff from all the other guys. And of course, now let's get to the moment you've been waiting for. This is Doomsday Clock number 11. One of the biggest books in comics, one of the biggest books DC has. I know it runs late and all that kind of good stuff, but I have said from the very beginning that the book is not late. They're just timing that ending with all the other huge stuff that's going on in the DCU right now. If you're one of the 3 people who has not been reading Doomsday Clock, you're really missing out. And if you're one of the 17 people that's been stowing away the issues until the series finally ends so that you could read all 12 of them, you're also missing out. You've got to pick these things up. You've got to read through them. You've got to catch up. This is the next to last issue. Don't always show the B covers, but I wanted to show this one because it's got the Creeper on it, and I love the Creeper. Lots of big, big stuff from DC this week, like this one. This is Legion of Superheroes Millennium number 1. Brian Michael Bendis, Jim Lee. Do I need to say anything more than Brian Michael Bendis and Jim Lee? No, this one already just made it into your box. You have to get this one in your stack this week. Hasn't been much from the Legion going on since the new 52 book ended. So they got a lot of catching up and a lot of splaining to do. I know there's a lot of you hardcore Legion fans out there and you've been waiting to see them get back on board with this. Justice League. It's one of my favorite comics these days. I think this run right now is as good as it's ever been. I think this is what Justice League should be. All the big heroes, all the big villains, cataclysmic, universe-ending, risky stuff. Lots and lots of fun in Justice League going on right now. Go all the way back to number 1 or just jump into this latest issue if you're, for some reason, not currently reading Justice League. Batman vs. Ra's al Ghul. It's one of your Bat books for the week, done by Neil Adams. Many consider one of the best Bat artists ever. You were probably a Neil Adams fan. I know my man Marcus is a Neil Adams fan. I know this is going into a lot of boxes today. Batman TMNT 3. Because it's always fun to see Batman teaming up with anybody. It's always fun to see the Turtles teaming up with anybody. And, well, you put the two of them together, and that's just all kinds of awesome sauce. Pick up the 2 trade paperbacks for the previous series or just jump into Batman TMNT 3. Good stuff. And a lot of Harley Quinn to talk about this week. This is the new issue of the regular series. That one's probably already on your list. This one is Harley and Ivy teaming up. Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy number 1. This is the first time you see Ivy post Heroes in Crisis. If you didn't read Heroes in Crisis, you might want to. Aside from the fact that it's got Poison Ivy in it, it was also an awesome book. Everybody loves Harley. Everybody loves when Harley teams up with Ivy. There's a couple of cardstock covers for this that connect, a Harley cover and a Poison Ivy cover. Like I say, you guys just can't get enough of these two. And this is your facsimile issue of the first appearance of Poison Ivy. So while you're grabbing that Harley and Ivy book, make sure you grab this reprint of her first appearance because, well, that's just awesome. Supergirl is your super book of the week. Wrapping up what's been going on in this one. A lot of buzz about this issue. And Lois Lane, it's your other super book of the week. I'm really, really digging this book. Like I dig everything from Greg Rucka, but this book is especially awesome. I've said all my life that Lois Lane deserves her own title, so it's really good to see them give her her own book and see it deliver in the way that it should. Green Lantern from Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp, 2 of the biggest talents in comics. One of my favorite books going right now. Very sad that this one's going to end at number 12. If this one has got by you, grab all the issues of this because this is as good as Green Lantern gets. Deceased Good Day to Die is a one-shot special to go along with the especially cool DC Zombies series that everybody's into. The Dreaming is your Sandman Universe Vertigo book of the week. And Doom Patrol is your Young Animal book of the week. You guys are loving Doom Patrol these days. And another great week for the Marvel guys. I know. House of X. This is the one you've been waiting for. This is House of X number 4, following right up on last week's number 3. Still got a few number 3s in stock. Still got reprints of 1 and 2 if you get here fast. I suggest getting into your shop today because all of this House of X and Powers of 10 stuff is just selling out faster and faster every single week. So get this one on your list. Get down to your shop. Pick this one up today. Great time to be an X fan. A lot of Absolute Carnage stuff. Symbiote Spider-Man. This miniseries really caught people by storm and everybody was really digging this. So, of course, they gave it an Absolute Carnage book. Pretty much anything's more fun when you put the word symbiote in front of it. Absolute Carnage Scream. As I always say, you don't have to follow all the different side books to get the gist of the main story. You only have to read Absolute Carnage. But if you really like Carnage, if you like Venom, if you like all this spider stuff, well then dive right in. Good stories and good art are always fun. The Immortal Hulk. I say every single time this book comes out, this is one of the best books in comics, one of the hottest books in comics. Much like all this X stuff, sells out every single time. I loved it from the very first issue. They had me at these Alex Ross covers. But like I say, great stories, great art, really cool, interesting take on classic Hulk. Can't say enough about this title. Grab the reprint of the first issue or just dive into the trade paperbacks or just grab this latest issue to see what all the buzz is about. Love me some Immortal Hulk. Savage Avengers. Another one of my favorite titles these days. Everybody knows I'm a big Avengers fan, but this the story has been really great. It's an excellent team. Obviously, it's a little dark, but come on, Conan, Punisher, Wolverine, all in one book. That's just especially awesome. And speaking of Punisher teams, here he is, teaming up with guys like Ghost Rider and Night Thrasher. You might not know who Night Thrasher is, so you better pick up this week's Punisher. Fantastic Four. Another one of my favorite titles. This is a great week for me. I've loved the relaunch of Fantastic Four. If you've never followed Fantastic Four before, now's the time. If you're a longtime fan like I am, well, then you love this book as much as I do. Pick up the number 1, pick up number 5, the wedding issue, or just jump into this latest issue. This is part 1 of the new story arc, and you'll see what I'm always talking about. There is no other book in comics quite like Fantastic Four. Well, unless you talk about Future Foundation. This is the second issue of the second incarnation of this team. Lots of fun. Again, if you're like me and you can't get enough FF, pick up the first issue and this week's number 2. Good stuff there. Ghost Spider, taking on Arcade. This is your Ghost Spider annual, even though the title's only 1 issue in. Grab the first issue of the regular series that came out last week. Pick up this week's annual. Everybody's loving Spider-Gwen these days. Agents of Atlas, another huge title spinning out of the War of the Realms stuff. And Champions are your millennial heroes of the week. Been really digging that Champions book. Web of Black Widow. Sees Black Widow get her own title again. Always good to see Natasha back in her own book. And speaking of back, Eric Larson is back on Amazing Spider-Man. You might know Eric Larson from Savage Dragon. To go along with our Spawn 300 this week, Savage Dragon is one of the original Image titles, and Eric Larson has really solidified himself as one of the greats of comics. He'll be at South City Comic Con in the next week or two, so pick up this week's Amazing Spider-Man big time, take it to the show and get it signed by the man himself. Alpha Flight, True North, brings Alpha Flight back to comics. If you're an old school John Byrne fan like me, you love some Alpha Flight, you love some Guardian and those wacky Canadian superhero teams. And there's always more Marvel talk about, like Conan. There's 3 different Conan books coming from Marvel these days. Age of Conan, Savage Sword of Conan, and the classic Conan the Barbarian. So if you love some sword and sorcery, you're going to want to pick that up. And Star Wars number 71. wraps up your huge stack of Marvel books this week. Always encouraging you guys to check out the cool stuff Marvel's doing with their Star Wars line. Pretty small week for the all ages stuff, but fun stuff to talk about. Marvel Action is a line of all ages books from IDW. They do Spider-Man and Avengers, Captain Marvel, Black Panther. All of them have been really, really solid. They're selling like hotcakes. The kids dig them. The little kids dig them. The big kids dig them. So pick up some Marvel Action Spider-Man this week. Check out something a little lighter, a little more fun, something for the young reader in your life. And Underdog and Pals. Super, super stoked to talk about Underdog and American Mythology Comics, who are doing all kinds of really great classic stuff, reprints of things from when I was a kid, and back from even before when I was a kid, when comics were carved into stone. This is really, really fun stuff. Love me some Underdog, some Mighty Mouse. Like I say, cool little flashback to the old days of all ages comics. Pick up one of these for a little bit of flashback fun, or to show the young reader in your life how comics used to be. Great, great stuff from American Mythology. Lots and lots of great titles this week, so check those shipping lists. Make sure you get down to your shop, pick up something super awesome. I want to mention once again that South City Comic Con is right around the corner. Go to southcitycomiccon.com for all the cool info. Steve Wyatt puts on a great show, fantastic guest list, lots of good vendors. We're going to be there hawking our wares. So come by September 15th to South City Comic Con. Come by our table, say hi. That's all we got for you for this week. You can check us out at black-cat-comics.com and check out our especially cool Shopify store. Check out the Facebook page, the YouTube channel. Check out the podcast at soundcloud.com, or just get on down here to the good old brick and mortar in Rock and Milpitas. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.